Hi, this is Brian Kim. I want to share with you this Bioniko synthetic model eye for cataract surgery and a medical student's firsthand experience with this model. So, I have medical students that rotate with me through the Medical College of Georgia. And so I had a few of them ask me, is there anything I can do to kind of figure out and learn cataract surgery and just the idea of it? And this is something I'd like to do. And so they approached me with this model. And so we're able to get our hands on this model. And I'm going to be able to show you how the medical student got through this case using a model eye. So if you go on this website, you can just search it under Bioniko, and you'll be able to see this is the cataract starter kit. And this includes a variety of different components. But essentially here you can see there's a suction cup mount, and you can see this oval looking thing, and that's kind of supposed to simulate the eyelids. And then there's the scleral and corneal component, which you actually have to mount and tuck underneath the lid components there. But underneath that scleral cornea component, you can actually attach pieces of the cataract attachment. And so that's why you're able to remove the cataract during the surgery and then discard that component and pop it back into this, again, scleral corneal shell, and then pop it onto this lid platform. So it's an unusual and unique design. It allows you to reuse the lid as well as the scleral and corneal component, but you're able to exchange out the cataract component if you have a regular lens, a cataract lens, and then various other types of anterior chamber, anterior segment components. And so this is a patient here. I forgot to mention there's a cannula here on the lower right side, as you can see here. And that cannula you attach with a syringe, and you can use BSS, and you push that syringe of BSS in to inflate the anterior chamber. And that's something you can do throughout the case, and it's attached to the model. And so they instruct you to mark your incisions because it's hard to tell. And this is him making the incisions. I had him hold the eye on the other side, contra-incisionally, 180 degrees. So far, he's doing a good technique, but of course, he's a little bit on the cornea, but nonetheless, it's a little bit of a hard grip. And so I think that's fine. He was nice and flat to the iris plane when he made his incision, but then he had a little trouble finding his incision. So I went ahead and helped him. We got in with the viscoelastic cannula and go all the way on the other side. And as you see, as I push the viscoelastic, it pushes that air bubble out. He went ahead and switched and took over again. And so I let him finish off filling the eye with the viscoelastic. I told him to go contra-incisionally, and then by pushing the viscoelastic, he'll be able to push that air bubble out. There you go. And then I told him to hold the eye from the other side, try to make his main incision. But you see, he was pushing, but he didn't have equal forces, and it popped the, again, scleral corneal rim outside of the grip of the lid attachment. So then I had him do it again with equal forces, and now you can see got a nice incision. Again, he was parallel to the iris plane in doing so. And this is his cystotome. I asked him to puncture the center, sweep to the left, and then pull downward to create a nice flap. He did a nice job there. He's pulling down. But because of the light reflex and we don't have any trypan blue, and again, this is his first time doing it. You saw the water pulsing. I pushed some water there because there's this unusual bubble that formed in the vitreous space. So you can use that syringe that's attached to that cannula where that pink stopper is to get rid of that. So here I took over and I go ahead and I'm able to find that flap. I'm able to lift it up, but you can see the flap keeps falling back down. And of course, that doesn't behave like a normal anterior capsule during cataract surgery. It shouldn't fall down. Now he was able to finally grab it, and then he let go, and of course it fell back down. And now he's going to try to find the flap edge again. I asked him to try to grab the flap near the edge of the tear so that he doesn't have to re-grab so much. I asked him to rotate and pronate his hand so that he can get that flap between the forceps teeth. He's having a little trouble doing it. But then right here, luckily he's able to grab it, and then he's able to go around. Of course, I'm telling him exactly how to direct his vector forces. He's able to do a nice job, and he's pivoting within the incision. And I didn't even coach him to do that, so he did a really nice job with that. So he was able to get about, a fourth of it done here. But you see the flap tries to lay flat again, and that is, of course, not how a normal anterior capsule behaves. He's able to go around circumferentially. I'm asking him to redirect his forces, again, pulling along the way, but also slightly central, and he's able to finish off the rhexis. Another thing that the model doesn't really simulate correctly is that outward force that a real cataract anterior capsule causes. The anterior capsule tends to want to tear peripherally. And of course, in this model, you don't have those same forces, but nonetheless, I think this is a really great practice for a medical student. So this is his attempt to doing hydrodissection. We're just using a BSS 27 gauge BSS cannula, and he's trying to direct that underneath the rhexis edge and then push that fluid. Of course, we're not using BSS. BSS is expensive. This is not a real patient, so we're just using some water from the tap. He's pulsing. You can see how he's pulsing. And he was able to visualize that the cannula was underneath the rhexis edge as he's doing this maneuver. And he's just going around in different quadrants trying to do the same thing. He poked the iris a little bit, which is fine. It was really difficult to determine if he was able to achieve a wave. And to be honest with you, I think it's a little bit of a challenge to try to spin this lens. He tried to spin this lens, but it just kind of cheese wired and it didn't really spin at all. So this is him going with Phaco. And we're using the AMO compact machine here with this fake eye. And he's got a Maltzman as well. And so this is him starting the Phaco. This is really quite important. He's trying to sculpt moving forward. I told him what to do. And I think with this step, the medical student really started to really appreciate the different components and nuances of cataract surgery. So I tried to instruct him that there's different phases of the foot pedal when you push down. And I asked him to push all the way down as he's moving forward, so it actually sculpts and uses ultrasonic energy moving forward, but to let off and not push ultrasonic energy when he's moving the tip back. And so again, you're buzzing as you move forward and you let off, but maintain irrigation, but not aspiration. So these are all very tricky components. You're trying to keep centered. You're trying to understand the foot pedal usage, a lot of stuff going on, as well as making sure you understand that the deepest part is in the center. And so you can see here, he's actually phacoing pretty deep in the periphery. And as he does this, and then now he's trying to crack the pieces. Again, we couldn't spin the lens. So as he's cracking the pieces, one thing you'll notice here, I'll show it in slow motion, he actually buzzed through the posterior capsule because, again, I think his grooving was basically on a horizontal plane rather than understanding that the posterior capsule is concave and you need to go deep in the middle, but you have to go more superficial peripherally. So nonetheless, he's able to continue to move forward, and he's trying to use the second instrument to kind of tease the lens pieces up. And he's understanding now the differences in the foot pedal position. Position 1 is irrigation, and as you push down even further, it activates aspiration. And then the concept of occlusion, I'm asking him to put that phaco tip up against the lens pieces, and then by initiating the occlusion, you can initiate aspiration, which then causes a vacuum to build. You can hear the auditory, ooh, the increase in tenor of the phaco machine as you're getting occlusion, and then the concept of pulling those pieces centrally to loosen them up and then emulsifying by going all the way down with the pedal. So again, a lot of nuances with cataract surgery, and of course he's figuring this out firsthand. We're just throwing him in at the deep end of the pool with this cataract case, and phacodynamics, phacofluidics, and the concept of the foot pedal in different stages and so forth are really very complicated, very nuanced. And of course, just the anatomy and understanding the architecture of the eye are all very components on being able to achieve a successful cataract surgery without any complications. And so, of course, I talked to him about the posterior capsule rupturing here. We're also discussing why he's having trouble seeing, and that really has to do with the fact that there's a lot of fluid accumulating around the lens. And that was another challenging part of this, is we had to kind of concoct basically an area like a moat that will catch the fluid that was coming out. So we had to get a garbage bag and kind of hold it as he did the case. And so we basically had a garbage bag over the operating microscope head. We put a plate on top of it. I taped the plate to the bed, but again, the garbage bag is on there as well, so I had to kind of make sure I secured it. And then we put the suction cup on top of the plate. And again, you can see here there's a lot of bubbles forming. This because he used up all the BSS in the bag, so I had to switch out the bag. Again, I basically cut the BSS bag on the top so that we can just fill it with water instead of continuing to use BSS. As you know, BSS is costly, and so we're able to just reuse that bag, just filling it with some water. And so you can see he's able to mobilize these endonuclear pieces as he's able to go here. Again, a lot of these bubbles are forming simply because we switched the bag out because he ran out of BSS in that bottle. Of course, we talked about the concept of coating the cornea during the surgery so you don't cause any corneal damage. But for him in particular, just understanding the foot pedal positioning was very important. So he was trying to eat the pieces in the periphery with ultrasonic energy. So I was trying to tell him, you can't eat the pieces when they're lodged in the capsular bag, because then if you eat it, then you'll just kind of obliterate the piece. And then you won't be able to pull it out of the capsular bag, and that's the whole point. And the other point, of course, is that if you buzz with ultrasonic energy within the capsular bag, you're near the posterior capsule, you might rupture the posterior capsule. And so these are all things that you want to avoid. Again, these are all, I think, excellent learning aspects of doing this model eye cataract surgery for him. You can see he's able to mobilize the lens pieces. We switch to the INA. You can see that there's pieces of lens fragments in the vitreous space as well as a bubble back there. And now he's initiating mechanical INA. You can see he's able to grab some of these fragments. So after he's finished with IA, we're pretty much done. Due to time constraints, we weren't able to proceed with intraocular lens placement. But this is our medical student's first attempt with doing cataract surgery on the Bioniko cataract model eye. These are my general impressions. Number one, for the medical student, this is invaluable teaching and experience. Being able to put your hands on a model, getting to understand the nuances of how to operate the microscope, how to operate the foot pedal, the understanding of phacoedynamics, phacofluidics, understanding the different incisions that you have to make, where to position the incisions, how to make the incisions, how to even just putting the instruments in and out of the eye, and then performing, of course, capsulorhexis, understanding the forces and the nuances of that technique, and then sculpting, hydrodissection, and trying to mobilize the lens, and then sculpting and removing the lens. Again, all of these aspects are tremendously beneficial to someone who has a zero point of reference with the surgery. Of course, from my point of view and the model itself, what do I think? Well, again, I haven't used the model yet. I plan to use the model in the future, and I'll post that on my channel at some point. But for him and watching him doing the case, I do see that it is, again, valuable as far as showing and illustrating to the student the different struggles and limitations and challenges of cataract surgery, and why, even though it looks so easy from an observer's point of view, that it really isn't that easy when you actually do the surgery because of all the things we're having to keep up with. And so I think from a model point of view, again, there's some limitations. Again, the fluid was really a challenge, and being able to find a way to capture that fluid without getting ourselves wet and getting the floor wet. We had to use that garbage bag and concoct it. I do think that there's a head model I know that there's a head model out there, and I wonder if that also will able to capture that fluid successfully. But nonetheless, we didn't have our hands on that model head, and so we used this garbage bag. It worked okay, but we had to have, again, multiple people in order to be able to do that without getting it all over the place. I think as far as capsulotomy, again, of course, this is made of plastic, and plastic wants to become flat. and that doesn't really simulate a true human anterior capsule. The anterior capsule wouldn't flop over like that. But as far as the forces and how to pivot within the incision, I think those are all great ways to illustrate those ideas and concepts of pivoting within the incision. And as far as the lens itself, it was a challenge to mobilize the lens. Again, when I try it myself, I'm going to see if I can really hydrodissection, spin that lens myself. And then the concept of sculpting, I think all of that was really quite good, and buzzing into the lens itself. Again, tactile wise, I'll see myself on how it actually feels compared to a true cataract lens. My suspicion is this lens is really kind of a softy lens because it just kind of fell apart when the student was doing the surgery. I do have access to that white cataract model, and so I'll try to use that as well for a future case. But overall, understanding how to use a foot pedal. As you go down further with the foot pedal, you initiate irrigation and then aspiration and then ultrasonic energy. And knowing that you can't feel that when you're doing the foot pedal, you don't feel like a sudden, shifting like you would on a, stick shift on a car, but it's all auditory, right? You hear the irrigation noise, doot, doot, do, and then aspiration, do, and of course when you get occlusion with vacuum, the tenor goes up, boo, and then of course ultrasonic energy has that static noise as well. And so using not just both hands, but also your feet, your one foot is operating the microscope and keeping it focused and centered, and again magnification, and the other foot is using the phaco pedal, but also your ears. So your ears are a really important component of doing cataract surgery as well, and listening to where you are, because listening to those sounds tells you where your foot pedal position is. And so again, the concept of pulling pieces up out of the bag using vacuum, not trying to buzz it with ultrasonic energy, and mobilizing the lens pieces. And then the concept of the central safe zone, that's another thing that I was kept reiterating to our student. You only want to activate ultrasonic energy in the central safe zone, because by doing it that way, you're away from the corneal endothelium, but you're also away from the posterior capsule. And one last thing about the model during capsulorhexis doesn't quite simulate the convexity of the anterior capsule. The anterior capsule is convex, and so when you're making your capsulotomy, the hair wants to go radial, and that's obviously a big challenge when you're doing cataract surgery, and you don't have that same feeling with this model I believe. And so I think that overall, this is really a great model. Of course, again, it doesn't simulate cataract surgery exactly, but I think this was very effective. And at the end of it, my medical student was sweating quite a bit, of course, because I was barking a lot of orders to him during the surgery. But nonetheless, my impression was he was very appreciative and grateful to try his hands on a cataract surgery on this model eye. So I hope this was helpful to you, and I thank you for your attention.